Oh. Let's see. Okay. Hmm. Hi, can everybody hear me? Hey, everybody. Hey, Jay, can you hear me? Oh, you can hear me? Oh, good. It's been a long time since I've done this. I'm not mm, big at all this, but anyways, so if you can't hear me, let me know. But I'm so excited. So I'll wait till a few more people pop on. I'm going to start doing live YouTubes, by the way. But for tonight, we're going to do predictions. So it'll be a lot of fun. So we'll wait for maybe a couple more people, and then I'm going to start. I'll tell you, throughout the year, any year, to be honest with you, I'm always getting information. And oh, hang on for 1 second. But anyways, I always keep a notebook with all my, insights, and I usually will start them somewhere at the beginning of the year for the following year. And as time goes on and things evolve, I start writing things down. So in just a minute, we'll get into some stuff for 2025 because it's going to be a very transformative year. And you may have seen in my email, if you received my email, that 2025 actually is the year number 9. I'm just going to throw this like this in numerology. Now, 9 means endings and new beginnings. So, and this is a very powerful year. In numerology, you always deduce numbers down. So, in other words, if you have the number 14, you would add 1 and 4 and get 5, and 1 and 6 equals 7, so on and so forth. And you go between 1 and 9. 1 is the start, and 9 is endings and new beginnings. But this year is a very powerful year, not just the fact that it's an ending year, but there's a lot of other things astrologically too that are really playing in to really boost up the power. So you're going to feel changes on a global, on a macro, as well as on a micro level, on an individual level. So we'll take a look at how we can sort of navigate through some of these things. So anyways, oh my God, how funny. This is going to be a lot of fun. So on that note, I'm going to refer a lot to my notes, just so you know. So if I'm looking down, you'll get the gist of it. So I'm going to just give you some things coming up. And, I always tell people, most people don't like changes, right? But sometimes changes are really, really good. They're not comfortable. But as we go through some of the changes that I see and some of the predictions that are coming up, so there's changes and just some crazy things coming up. Note that you can always navigate around them. So FYI on that. My hair's like a hot mess today, just threw it back. So on that note, so we're going to start with 2025. We talked a little bit about the number 9, very, very powerful. So what does that mean for you? So for you personally, you're going to find that situations that work for you may no longer work. You may want to make a change with your job, and you may have been thinking about it for a while. This is the year that you might finally have that boost of energy to make those changes where you're like, I've had enough with the kind of work that I'm doing. I'm not happy. So I'm going to, make a change with my work. Likewise, you may experience that in your relationships too. Number 9 is going to give you an indication like who's really got your back, who's really genuine, who really isn't genuine. So you may start to look at your friends and your family and the people that you really want to invest your time with, those that are really worth spending time with. And then you're going to be looking at some that you're going to say, hey, you know what? It's been nice. It's been real, but it's time to move on. It's a growth period. It's a change. So you're going to be evaluating, and you may even be doing this unconsciously as well as psychically, right? You might get that pit in your stomach that it's going to nudge you. So those are some things you're also going to find depending where your charts are. And everybody has a little bit, obviously astrological charts, that your physical, your mental, your emotional areas are going to be all going through changes. So you might be saying, I'm going to end eating junk food. I will never end eating junk food, by the way, but you might be doing that. And so you may end up making those changes as well. So you may say, I'm going to start eating healthier. So there's going to be a lot of changes, again, on the outside as well as on the inside. In this instance, we want to be of the world, not in the world. It's really easy to get caught up in all the drama and the emotion. That is one thing we don't want to do. We want to say, this is a strategy. I can change it. This is going to be my plan. This is how I'm going to do it. So, by the way, for anybody out there that doesn't really know who I am, I'm psychic medium Karen Reese. I was born this way. I've been featured on TLC, Discovery Channel, CW, FX, Travel Channel. It's all relatively a remedy, Coast to Coast Radio, and a myriad of other shows. I'm well known for, well, actually what sets me apart is my ability to provide specific information such as names, numbers, dates, and times. So it's one of the things that I'm really known for, and I love numbers. But in any event, all right. So just to give everybody a quick heads up, if you want to know a little bit more about your personal year, what you want to do is add your month plus your birth date to the number 9, and then bring it back down to whatever number between 1 and 9, and you'll know what energies are going to be very affected this year. So you can check that out with numerology. So anyways, so let's start at the beginning. So January is the beginning, 2025. We know there's a really big change coming. What is the biggest change? This is historic. We're going to have a new president. And this President Trump, and again, whether you like him or you don't like him, that's irrelevant, right? We're just going to be looking at predictions and the changes that he'll be bringing forth into this time period. He's huge. So he's been here before, and now he's back here again. And when he's coming in, you can feel the energy, you can feel the power, you can feel the temperament going up. But what's interesting about Trump is, what is the difference? He's radically different than Biden. So we know we're going to get major changes coming down the chute. So, and I will tell everybody this, back in 1988, is it 88 or 89, somewhere around there, when I was a stockbroker in college, my first year in college, I was studying science and I decided to become a stockbroker. I had read The Art of the Deal. I remember reading that book, and I saw President Trump, Trump at the time, become president. So way back then, I predicted that he would be president. So just an FYI. And in 2016, I remember saying that he's going to become president. Then I see him sitting out. I saw Biden's head. And then I said, I see him coming back in and doing another radical shift. So that's just a little bit of a backdrop. That being said, back to what we're about to encounter, we're going to see a lot of unrest. We're going to see a lot of jitters going on within our U.S. society as well as globally. So be prepared. The market's going to be a little shaky. There are going to be some corrections. There will be some opportunities for you to go in and buy some things. And we'll get to that in a little bit more, but there's going to be, opportunities if you know how to work the energies around you. So anyways, as we take a look at President Trump, one of the things that we do notice, he's a very 9 person to begin with, although that's not his numerological numbers, but he carries a lot of that energy. And again, 9 is a very radical, it's a very definitive, it's about power, it's about confidence. It's about making changes, decisiveness. He already has that bold energy. Now you pair it up with the nine energy coming around from the ethers, and it is going to be a very interesting ride to say the least. But don't worry. Again, we'll be able to work through this, and it's just how you work through it and how you respond to the things that you can't change, if something changes around you. One thing about 2025, it is going to be a year where a lot of hidden secrets are going to start to surface. And it's going to start these hidden secrets that have been kind of below the water level, so to speak. They're going to start to surface, and we're going to see it in all different areas, which as we go through, you'll see what I mean. But there will be secrets starting to rise, and that'll be great for the American public because we really do need to know what's going on that we haven't been privy to know. So, it's going to hit every area. So let me just take a quick look. One of the things that we will notice right away, there's going to be a lot of interest, and we're going to start to notice on a global stage who our friends are, who aren't our friends. I see Trump, and again, these are the predictions that I've been seeing. I see him shaking up like the UN, the World Health Organization. It looks like he's shaking them up. He's also telling people, he's giving them the impression, you're either on our team or you're off. And people now know, again, he means business. They know what side their bread's being buttered on. So our somewhat friendly enemies and our somewhat friendly friends are really going to start making a radical shift. And they know either come on board or, you'll be in the line of fire, so to speak. So it's really going to give us an understanding of who's really got our back or who really wants our back. So very, very interesting. Let's see what else. We're going to get a little bit deeper. I will tell you, we will always have our enemies. Of course, it's going to be China. Of course, it's going to be Iran. Of course, it's going to be Russia. Russia's going to try to play nice for a while, but you can't trust them. China's on the same wavelength too. So they're sort of nice on the outside, but we know that they're going to continue to do things that are going to be very, that aren't in our best interest. So as much as we would like to think that we would have a positive relationship, you can't. We will never have the relationship that we would like to have because you can't trust them. And as we go through this, I'll describe a little bit more in detail some of the antics that I've seen them been doing, the things that they'll continue to do, more things that they'll do forward. Korea is also in there, which is funny because I'd seen about 10 years ago some things on Korea. So again, these are our bad players. They will continue to act behind the scenes. We also have some players out of Africa too. They're a little bit more quieter, but again, we have some actors. And then we also have some little plays too by Venezuela too. So there's like some other little minor players trying to come in, but our biggest foes we already know is China, Russia, Iran, and Korea. And they will continue to give us as much aggravation as we can, and they'll try to do behind the scenes as much as they can. When it comes to wars, I do see that there's going to be a resolution eventually between Ukraine and Russia. It's unfortunate for the amount of life that's been lost, but now with Trump coming in, it looks like he's going to be able to work something out so that we don't have this nonsense, which is great because we really don't want it. But I will say it's a drawback temporarily. So Russia, their goal is 2 steps forward, 1 step back with Trump, but don't kid yourself. They're just going to sit and wait. So we have that. It's going to take a little bit. It's going to take some negotiation, but that's been going on. Israel, Trump is like Reagan. And I remember seeing this maybe about 6 months ago where Trump must have been maybe around July, somewhere around there. It's right around when he was had the assassination. But I remember him talking on the phone. I'm seeing it psychically, and he's like, "No business. We're not playing this. You need to release the prisoners, the hostages, with the problems in Israel." Or else. So he's taken a very Reaganist type of approach, very bottom line, and they now know. So the sad part is that we're not going to receive the number of hostages that we know that they claim to have, or we believe they have in captivity alive, but they will be released. And they already know. And he's already made a point that he will punish them, and he will start to punish um, these parties behind the scenes. We know that Iran will continue to try to figure out ways to create problems. They are, you know, the big problem behind this horrible situation. So, but they also know Trump means business. So we will get some hostages. We will get the hostages released, but not all of them are going to come back alive. And that's so sad. So the atrocities that they committed. So I also see that he's going to work like he did before with the Abraham Accord. He's also going to try to make that work again. He's going to try to do something to try to balance out the Middle East so that we don't end up in, a major war coming up. So that will be good. It's not going to take place all at once, but because there's a lot of work that he needs to get going on. So he will again try to look to improve relations in the Middle East. He'll try to make it so it's a little bit more peaceful. With him in office, we will see results. The scary thing is that into the future, down the road, we're going to see problems again. I will say I see a lot of groups, bubbling up. I do feel with the inauguration coming up in January, this is going to be a really big historical moment for this generation for 2025. There is going to be a lot of unrest about that. There will be unrest below the surface. There will be unrest above the surface. So we will encounter people, venting about it. But I still see him going through. I will say throughout the next 4 years, yes, there will be assassination attempts on Trump. Unfortunately, I feel he's got great protection, but also there's going to be assassination attempts on his cabinet, RFK, Elon Musk, Vivek, as well as his family. In fact, this is something I see. I keep seeing his granddaughter in an attempt to kidnapped. It will be foiled. So whether or not it's going to reach the news, I'm not really sure. I don't think it's going to really surface that far, but I do see that they are going to there will be an attempt kidnapping on her. And that I've been seeing for a while. I've probably been seeing that for about 2 years now. So, so anybody out there, I don't like to see things like that. Doesn't matter what party. I just don't like to see awful things to anybody. All right. So let's go into some other things. So one of the things that I will tell you, I see other countries that are going to start to question their political systems. So what's happened is that Trump is the impetus on a more universal spiritual level coming in. And again, it doesn't matter if you like him or you don't like him, but he's the impetus behind creating other countries to start looking at their own political systems, primarily in like the European countries. They're going to start to identify, they're going to start to say, this type of way that we've been doing it hasn't been working. So they'll start to take a look at what the United States has done. We've had a radical shift, and they'll start to make some shifts in their own countries. Now, funny thing, I've said this for years. Eventually, there will be a third party. It's not here now. It's probably going to be another 10 years down the road. But what's interesting about this third political party, it's going to be made up of the majority of Americans. And most Americans are pretty close. I mean, there's a few little differences here and a few little differences there, but most Americans want the same things. Maybe they might have a little bit of a different way of going about it. But overall, the majority of people, we want the same things. We want, peace, prosperity, good family, so on and so forth. We don't like fighting, right? Because our enemies look at us, divide and conquer when we're divided as a country. So there will rise up a third party, and it'll be primarily because most people will be fed up with the two-party system, because we will feel like they're just not living up to their own. There's also going to be changes too. And again, this is in the next 4 years, but this is into the future and how we go about selecting our politicians. But again, that's way into the future. But I just thought I'd make that as a note to you, because, it'll be something you'll see in the future. All right. So let's see. So change again. We're changing our political system. We're changing our personal lives. Our economy is going to be changing. So it's a very powerful number. And this is going to be worldwide. We're collectively connected, all of us. So we're all in it together. I always try to tell people take the best, leave the rest so you don't drive yourself crazy. And it's not just the changes, but how we change. So what that means too is that with these changes, what kind of strategies are you going to employ in your own personal life? Because everything has a trickle down effect. So it's just like anything else. So, when you're up against something that's going to drive you nuts, if you're up against a challenge, how are you going to change it? What kind of strategies are you going to employ? So it's just an FYI on that. I will be doing some classes in the future so that you can take the energies, harness them, leverage them, and make it more of a winning situation on a personal level for you. But for the sake of this, we're going to be looking at the predictions that we have coming up. So once again, I did see assassination attempts. I see one of the assassination attempts, I see Trump coming out of a building. It's similar to like when Reagan was almost shot. So there will be a very close encounter within the next 4 years. Hopefully people will hear this because I don't like to see anybody assassinated. So, but there will be some attempts. And RFK is going to have to really watch what's going on around him. He's going to have to really watch his back. It's unfortunate, but, get some loonies out there. I don't think murder's ever an answer, but now, one of the things I love, but it's like anything else, when it's abused, it could be a problem, is artificial intelligence. I love AI. I feel that AI is an amazing technology. What I've been seeing psychically, and I've been seeing this for the last few years, but as this year we roll in, it's really going to be making some big changes, some big inroads. So with AI, I see it developing. And the funny thing is, I look into AI, it's like a snowball. As it starts to develop and evolve, it gets faster and faster and faster. I do eventually see it's almost to the point where it's its own consciousness. We actually have it now. It's just they're not going to release it, and they haven't allowed it to go that far. But in the positive side, I see AI doing a lot for our medical, a lot with our health. So there's going to be a lot of newer AI technologies that we will be benefiting from for the next 4 years for our health. I will say, though, as much as I love AI, I know that there's a lot of technical people out there, technicians, ITT people, people in the tech industry, that their jobs will be replaced by AI. So just an FYI on that. But AI is going to be something that's going to replace a lot of outdated types of methodologies, but also create newer ways to identify health-related issues and various medicines and everything relative to that. I also will say into the future, I don't believe it's going to be these next 4 years, but I've got to mention it. Utah keeps popping up psychically. So that's going to have a hotbed at some point for technology, which is kind of an interesting thing, but I keep getting it psychically. I see like a little TV screen. So I'm not sure why Utah, but there will be some technology into Utah. So that'll be interesting. The other thing with AI, so we're seeing it from a medical point, which is great. We're seeing it from a technical point, right? So it's going to hit every single area of our life. But I will also say I see AI becoming a really top performer, and it's going to be here in the US when it comes to military weapons and other, military types of, methods and so on and so forth, whether you're flying a jet or whatever. But AI will be something very significant in our military. So just an FYI in that. So we'll see quite a bit. It's very rapid, though. Again, as I look in, like seeing a TV screen, that's what I see when I look at my predictions. It's like a snowball. It's very rapid. The more it evolves, the faster it goes. So I also see it heading into our food sources, which we'll get into that in a minute too. Let's talk a little bit about Musk. I love Elon Musk's ideas. He's a bold thinker. You don't have to like the man, but you can always learn from people, whether you like them or you don't. There's always something you can learn. I always try to tell people that people get so, whatever one side, but there's always something to learn. One of the things I've been seeing with Elon Musk is that I see him using drones. They're going to become more advanced. And I also see him starting to look to plant seeds on a planet. So he's starting to plant the seeds of civilization. And I feel like even though during the next 4 years, it's not going to actually hit a planet, but the seeds are starting to be put together, the strategy, the way that they're going to implement. So he's already working on that. He'll be using AI, obviously, like everybody else, but he's looking to germinate a planet. I also see way into the future that there will be civilizations, humans will go to um, our planets in the sky and inhabit them. So there will be that. Years ago, I remember seeing a very, looks like a desert planet and glass like structures that people lived in as well as they lived here on Earth. So it's very interesting. Let's see. I just want to go. I have a ton of notes. Yep. So a lot of, yeah. So he's going to start to build civilization. I think he's putting the blueprints. I keep seeing him like looking at blueprints for the future regarding that. So it'll be very interesting. He'll be working on it during the next 4 years, along with all his other duties that he'll be doing. I will say, when it comes to technologies and computers and so on and so forth, we always know that we rely on various crystals and gems, and like for our batteries and things like that. We're going to have some problems with China. China has a monopoly, in my opinion, on the market. So we will have some issues with China as far as mining. For these types of things, so that we need them for our computers. So there's going to be some issues with China. It's going to be wheeling and dealing. China doesn't want to have a war with us, not an outward war, but it definitely wants to be number one. China will continue to do things that they shouldn't be doing as well. So they're going to give us a hard time. They have control over mining, which means that we're going to have an issue when it comes to, batteries and gems and crystals for our computers and cars and whatever. So we're going to have some challenges that way. The other thing too that I see coming up when it goes back to Musk, Musk and Trump, they do have a past life tie. That's why they're connected. But it's funny because you have two very strong alpha males, very successful men. So I do see, as the time goes on, I do see some stress in the relationship. I do see cracks in the relationship. I do see some big challenges coming up. Both parties mean well. Both parties, have their own ways of doing things, but there will be some challenges between Trump and Elon Musk. Of course, Trump will be the one that will win out. To Trump, I do see him open-minded and listening, but when he makes his mind up, meanwhile, you have Elon Musk, who also has his understanding, his way of doing things. So they will clash. There will be issues, and there will be some stresses by the end of the 4 years, probably within 2 years, or stresses. So it is what it is. Let's talk about our health. Everybody's concerned about health. We've had last 4 years have been hell, right, with COVID. I will tell you though, I do see a new virus. I actually see three. Not as severe as what we've seen. They've already started to create this, this one virus in particular. So we will be battling viruses. And I will tell you, as time goes on, talk about hidden truths and secrets. We're going to find out that, COVID was tied to germ warfare. And I said that about 2-3 years ago when it first came out. I said it on one of the platforms. Everybody yelled at me, but, that was a deliberately made. China had a hand in it. But as time goes on, more information is going to surface regarding the origins of that. So, I was right about that. People were upset at the time, but that it is what it is. Again, I'm not here giving my opinions. I'm just giving you what I see. And we will find out. There's going to be another revelation. Again, we're in the revelation period. So a lot of hidden secrets will start to surface. So FYI in that. The other thing we're going to find out more secrets about big pharma and about our food sources, big companies. And I will tell you, there is gonna be some hits on RFK's life because he's upsetting some of these really big, big companies. I see, big food companies and pharma companies looking at him, with those eyes, and he's going after them. And we're gonna start to see that what we have been believing has been helpful for us really hasn't been. He's going to bring out, some of the toxins, which we've been knowing about for years, but it's really going to start to surface more and more. So, again, revelation, a lot of the secrets that have been being held from the American public will start to come out. Um, and, you know, Americans, should be given the full truth. So, mm, now, when it comes to education is going to undergo some changes as well. So it's not going to happen all within 4 years, but there are going to be the structure is going to start to be challenged. There's going to be some challenges and some changes starting to come about. Um, I do see a lot of back and forth fighting against it. Again, people don't like changes, but there will be challenges to the way that the education is going to be structured. So, again, changes, the way that we see education is definitely going to change. And we really do need to make changes. We're not on, we're not in the top in the United States or worldwide. I mean, we really do need to make changes the way the structure is. I do see that there's going to be some cracks in the unions. So that's going to cause some stress that way. I do see at some point, the threat of strikes coming up. So again, people don't like changes, but it's all changes create growth periods, really. Social media, we all love social media. Sometimes it drives us nuts and we don't like it. It's like one of those things you just, have to have it. So I do see a little bit more restrictions being coming down in social media being looked at primarily for those under the age of 18. So there's going to be some considerations. I saw some laws that they're looking to pass or will be wanting to pass that under the age of 18. We want to be a little bit more protective of children. And honestly, I can't agree with that more. The problem is, though, kids will always access information if they want, so let's see. There's so much information. There's going to be more information on Hunter Biden in the next 4 years. Again, hidden information. And it's also going to show a relationship, how it sort of ties back to his father. So it's kind of interesting. We already know that we're not that dumb, but we do see that there's going to be more information coming out with Hunter and his ties into his family. And also there's going to be a little bit more information about Liz Cheney too. So, more information about our politicians all the way around. I think it's great for everybody. So we'll be getting little tidbits here and there. You will see that the media will try to control some of that so it doesn't hit everybody. But eventually, it'll trickle its way out. So it is what it is, what it is. Speaking of which, when it comes to the media, there is still going to be stress with the media coming up with our new administration. Not a surprise. But this time, it will be combative at times, but I also see in another way that it'll have a little bit, I don't want to say respect, but there will be a fine line. And, there it won't be as bad, but at times it will be, but not as combative. So there will be a little bit of improvement, but there still is going to be stress. Money and finance. Okay, everybody worries about money. And I will say there's going to be a correction coming up. I do see improvements in the market. It's going to take a while. We are going to be in for a bumpy ride for a little while. So it's going to take some time for adjustments because there's been a lot of craziness in the last 4 years, the way money's been spent and everything along those lines. But I also see companies coming back, companies investing in the United States. So it's going to take about 2 years before we really start to feel grounding. And it's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So, there are bumps, but there are improvements. And what I tell people, talk to your broker. You want to look for opportunities depending on your personal financial situation. Take a look at what's out there, buying a dip, I personally love, AI stocks, tech stocks. Um, there's a lot of really good stocks out there. Nvidia, there's just good stocks. So, check with your advisor, but there will be some very good, um, good stocks out there. I do feel though, for about the first 6 months of the new year, that there's going to be some bumps. I'll call it bumps, but we'll get through it, which is great. It's at a correction point. The other thing, oil and gas. That's something that looks like you may want to look careful at, because that looks like it's going to be something that could be beneficial for you. Oil and gas will definitely be something that's going to always be in demand. I know that we're trying to replace some of this with batteries and whatever, and batteries are great, but oil and gas definitely. The one thing I will say, crypto, I love crypto. Cryptocurrency, I think, is fantastic. Eventually, that is going to replace your traditional dollar. That is going to become more popular. Yes, they're going to put more, try to put more, restraints on that and laws and all that nonsense. But but it is going to become more popular. There will be other cryptos that will come along. You just want to make sure that you have a legitimate crypto, because there will be some phonies that are out there, some scams. God, what a surprise, right? But crypto eventually will be like the gold standard. Can you believe that? Not in the next 4 years, but that's coming up. I do still see legal issues for Trump. There will be people trying to put legal issues in. There's going to be, that type of nonsense. But I do see overall that they keep fading. So if they come up, they're going to fade. They try to make a lawsuit, he'll get that resolved. But there will be continuous lawsuits. So here and there. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. People. Let's see. I'm trying to see. Let's talk about the wall. I do see the wall going up. I will say I see people upset about it, but I will say that as they build the wall, as they work on this issue, they are going to catch some very interesting people. Still, even after the wall is going up near completion, as the next 4 years, they're going to catch some very bad people. So they will continue to build the wall. People will be upset. It is what it is. But at the same time, the wall will prevent some really bad players from the Middle East coming in. So that is a very interesting thing. Let's see. There's going to be cleansing. So I do, and again, I saw this probably about 2.5 years ago, but I get like little, I'll be driving, I'll get like little, pictures, but there will be cleansings within high government bureaucracies, the FBI, the CIA, and other agencies. So, and I will also say to that point, I have this on my notes too, that I do see a spy in the CIA. So if anybody is in the CIA out there, you may want to, look into what's going on. You do have a spy, and he's connected to, I saw a Russian spy that's got a Chinese spy connection too. Interesting. So I think they might be working in tandem. Russia and China have been working in, behind the scenes more so than what we're aware of. They've gotten quite cozy. So FYI on that. The one spy that I do see, he looks like he's an American connected to China. So we have an American trader, I guess is how I would classify it. So hopefully they can pick him up. I think he's going to be in there for a while. That's the only thing. But I definitely see that. And then I do see a Russian trying to infiltrate, or he's, spying again in our government. But this is sort of interesting. Let's talk a little bit more into the future. So when I go into 4 years down the road, I do see Vance, and I see him holding the sign president. So it looks like he will become elected president. I will also say, and I've seen this, I saw this back in 2016 too, that Barron Trump will someday run for president. I see him roughly in his mid 40s, maybe early 50s, but in his midlife. So at some point, Barron will become president. He'll follow into his father's footsteps. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like these dynasties. We have the Kennedy dynasty, we've got the Trump dynasty. Interesting. We've got the Bushes. I don't know. I love what I see about that. Let's see what else. Getting down to the nitty gritty, and everybody's probably tired. What else? What else? What else? There's one other thing I was going to mention. Oh, let's talk about. I do feel that our Earth is going to experience some more unusual weather patterns. I'm feeling some more earthquakes, maybe a little bit more. Actually, I'm seeing what feels like an earthquake in the east part of the United States, like the southeast. So, some little rumblings, nothing to write home about, but I do see that the earth, and I'm sensing some little odd weather related um, things. So, and it's interesting as I look, our magnetic field's also starting to change. And I know they say scientists have said it's changed by like an inch or something like that, or a foot. But we will experience some of that. So you may notice, you might feel an earthquake, which you've never felt before in your area. So there's going to be some like little shifting things along that line. I do see some issues relative to sea levels rising on the West Coast. I don't see it that harsh in the next 4 years. That I actually see a little bit further down the road. So we're going to see some shifts. The major takeaway, though, we're going to be seeing a lot of changes in all different areas. So what do you do? What do you do if you don't like this? So you want to take a look at what can you do. If there's nothing you can do, then you want to think about how can you change the way you feel about a situation. Most of this is on a very global level, on a very, like I said, macro level, not so much on a personal micro level. But you want to take a look at, how does this, how does this bother you, or how does it affect you, and what can you do to prepare for it? And there's a lot of things that you can do. When it comes to weather, be prepared about the weather. When it comes to the market in the next 6 to 9 months, there's going to be some shakeouts. So there will be opportunities, but also you want to be in a position that you want to keep your money. I do see further down the road, there's going to be, this isn't in the next 4 years, but there's going to be some problems with like banks not giving money. It won't be in this next 4 years, but there will be some issues with that, run on the money like the 1922 when people couldn't, get their money. That's something that we will be looking at probably in about 8 or 10 years. It's into the future, but in the near future, changes, but we can handle it. Out with the old and with the new. Radical changes rippling down, in your own personal life. You're going to take a look at what's going on. If somebody hasn't been as good as a friend, that person will reveal themselves to you. So it's hidden. Hidden secrets will surface. The revelations will come out on a master level, major level, as well as on a personal level. So, that's that. But the number 9, very significant. I'm telling everybody, you want to write your goals down too for January. And what you want to do is you want to have a plan so that this way, as you go through these bumps, because we're going to hit some bumps, we're going to have some cycles. We're going from one type of political party system to another. We're all the pawns. Let's just face it, right? So you want to have like a strategy, so you know how to ride the waves, how to work the bumps. We'll all get through it. It's just going to drive us a little crazy. So, but that's that in a nutshell. I'm just trying to think if I left anything out, because I had a ton of stuff and it's crazy. For me, it's like I get like little TV screens. Let me just double check. I saw the 9. It's just interesting how that really, I do see some Wall Streeters sort of trying to turn their back on our president, a couple of big banks, which is interesting. One bank in particular, and then they turn back around, which tells me that they're going to try to give Trump a hard time, and then they'll realize that, in order to succeed, we can't do that. So here's something that I tell people, as we go through changes, Earth is to learn, right? So what is the whole point of these changes, right? So our whole point is to learn how to get along collectively. That's a really big challenge. Life's a game. And, so all these experiences that we're about to, connect in with, there's something greater, and that's learning how to get along with everybody. So I'm also just I meant to mention this. I look up into the sky, and it's funny because the sky looks a little bit different. the stars are going to sparkle a little different. And I've been noticing that lately when you look up into the planets. And I believe that scientists are going to start to find a planet that's going to start to show itself. Um, I feel it's maybe in the next 2 to 3 years. It's like part of our planet, but not part of our planetary system. So it's almost as if it's sort of gray, but I do see like another planet that they're going to want to, can looks like they want to kind of keep it our Milky Way, but it'll be a substantial planet. Um, I'm starting to see it maybe around the third or fourth year. They're just starting to see it. So, I mean, they're always coming up with stars, but there's like a planet that for some reason it's going to be significant. I don't know when they'll release that information. I see like they're starting to see just a little bit of this planet. It's almost like it's gray when I look up into the sky. Um, it's something like it's coming into our zone. It's like coming, or they're finding it where it should be, or it's something new. It'll be interesting. All right, so I think that's about it. Let me just double check. I looked at the medicine, Utah. Utah is just really interesting. When I saw that, I thought that's kind of an interesting place. One thing I do like, I will say, with the revamping of a lot of our institutions. So the institutions are going to shake up. People are not going to like that. Obviously, people don't like changes. So we will get a lot of pushback, or we'll see these places pushing back. So it'll be very interesting as far as that's concerned. Drones, I want to talk about drones too. I know we've got drone issues now, and there's more to that than what they're telling you. There's spies going on. So, but there will be more drone activity into the future. But it'll be more in, we'll be using drones more in a military way too. So it'll be very interesting. One thing I want to also mention is a food. I know we talked about health, but our food is going to be, we all know it's been genetically altered, a lot of the food, but we're going to find out as time goes on that it's worse than what we've been led to believe. So it's kind of interesting how all of this is starting to come about. When you think about it, big pharma is not going to like some of the information that comes out. That's how they make their money, right? If we're sick, that's how they make their money. So, and there will be more retaliations as far as that's concerned. And I do not advocate that. I think it's terrible. I think, if there's something that's not right, sit down and talk about it, negotiate, violence is never an answer, but I do see some uprisings. I do see some violence. I do see, some of these types of, activities. So it's going to be bumpy, but overall we'll get through that. But it's very, very interesting. I still laugh because literally about 25 years ago, I said Trump's going to run for president one day, and here, he is, and now I see his son into the future, Barron, running. So, and at that point, there's a third party when Barron becomes president. So it's like three parties. It'll be very interesting times. But anyway, so that is that. So hi everybody. I got to tell you. Oh, here we go. I'm looking at stuff again. But anyways, did anybody want to ask a question, and then I can just answer it to the whole group? It's less snow and cold in Buffalo. That is very true, Jen. Oh, hey, Mayor. Look at everybody. Oh my God, how funny. But anyways, let's see. Oh, we got a lot. Hey, Ron, there you are. Oh, I love sunset. But yeah, so we got a lot of crazy stuff ahead. I think personally we should just drink champagne and not worry about everything. Just my take on it. I always tell people be of the world, not in the world, because it's very easy to get caught up in the drama. We all do it. When we listen to TV and all the nonsense, it's very easy to get caught up in that, So, hey, Michelle. ETs, that's a good question. ETs do exist. And I'm going to tell you, I did a show that was shelved because yours truly was giving away names and numbers. But in Roswell, New Mexico, for Discovery Channel, actually, we were down there and it had to deal with ETs. And I did actually experience ETs. So we will encounter ETs, not the next 4 years, but ET related There will be a crash, but they're gonna try to cover up the government, and it's, I think, in the Southwest towards California areas, so they will start to come out more and more. Eventually, before the year 2040, 2045, we will have connected with an actual, form, intelligent form, some kind of an ET being, so and there are various ETs, by the way. There's brown ones, there's gray ones, so they did. Um, yes. Oh, I love that, Matt. So Matt wants to know, can you explain the 9 plus your date of birth and year? So yes. So in numerology, you always want to bring your number down between 1 and 9, right? 1 means new beginnings, 2 means partnership, 3, integration of mind, body, spirit, communication, 4, like 4 legs on a table makes you stable, so on and so forth. Then you got 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9. So anytime you have a number, you want to bring it between 1 and 9, unless you get the number 11, 22, or 33. Those are master numbers. But 9 means endings and new beginnings. That's what 2 plus 2 plus 5, 20, 25, right? 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 5 is 9. So this year relates to the number 9. Now, if you want to find out how it relates to you, what your personal birth year is, you would take your month and the date, not your year, but your month and your date of your birthday. So like I'm 4/14, April 14th. So I would add that up, right? So I get 9. 4 plus 1 is 5 plus 4 is 9. Then I would take that 9 and I would add it to the 9 year. And this is so weird, but I'll tell you a funny story. So what do I get? 18. Then when I add 1 and 8, I get back to number 9. So that's a very strong, because I've had a bunch that keep turning into 9s, but I'm a 9 again. So because my birth year corresponds in this year, which is a 9, I'm going to have a lot of big changes. So you can find out where your number is, and then the power of change, which is the number 9, that energy is going to have an effect in whatever house. So for instance, if your number is number 2, that's partnership. So you're going to find that there's going to be changes in your partnership, areas of your life. You'll have them in other areas as well, but your relationship with your spouse, or your relationship, maybe with your boss. So you take the power of the 9 energy and you apply it to where it applies to your personal year or personal number for this upcoming year. And you'll find out, where you're going to have a lot of this energy felt. You'll feel it all over, but usually you'll get like more of an emphasis there. But I love numerology, so it's a lot of fun. So, you know what? That's it. You know what? I love Jen's question. Any closer to cancer cure in 2025? You know what? Tesla's had cures for cancer. We have cures. But big pharma makes their money, so they're never going to let that one out of the can. And of course, our politicians, it doesn't matter who they are, it's how they make their money. So you could say, yes, we do have some cancer cures. And I do see AI being very successful with cancer, which that part I do like. But we do have some cures, not for all the cancers, but for, some of them too. So FYI on that. Were challenges this year preparing us for the, you know what, Jen, that's a good question. So Jen wants to know, was 2024, this past year, which we're about to close in on, was this preparing us for the changes in 2025? Yes. I don't know. Like I tell people, take a look at where we're at. Do you feel like it's kind of going faster? Do you feel all of a sudden you got more pep in your step, or you have like this more energy maybe in the last, couple of months? Because the closer you get to the next year, usually that's the kind of energy you pick up. And N is about the number 9, rather, is all about radical changes, so you're picking up that energy. It's like make a decision. It's about, getting things done. So you probably have all experienced some of that energy. Like, I feel like I need to get something done, and you're going to do it in your own life. So, but yeah, you could feel the energy starting to get us prepared. 24 as we're going into 25, because 2024, it's been like we're, feeling like we're in mud, and now we're coming out of the mud. So yeah, it's funny how everything just sort of, it's all like a domino effect. I try to tell people we're all related, we're all connected. When you cross to the other side, which I did have a near death, and that was only like 15 years ago, but we really are all connected. So, try to be nice here. That's what I tell people. Try to play nice in the sandbox, and always treat animals well too, because people always forget about animals, because we're all connected. When you get to the other side, everything is so quickly telepathic. I've been seeing dead people since I was in the crib as many of you know, as well as making predictions. I predicted my dad's death when I was 7, and he passed away 3 weeks later unexpectedly of a stroke. And he shouldn't have. He was in great, shape. And so but my point is, we're all connected. We're here for a certain period of time, and then we get to the other side. And when you get to the other side, you're connected. You feel that connection. You feel the energy, and you get your life review too. So try to play nice, but it's all interesting. So you know what, Jen? Everybody is. And how many people here are ready to be done with the past, especially like this past year? It feels like it's like, oh, like you want to change, like you're over it, like you've been feeling like you've got an albatross around your neck, or you got the weight on your shoulders. I mean, Jen's got a good point. You're ready to be done with this mudsludge, and everybody is. So if anybody else feels that, let me know, because you're really picking up this energy. We're just trying to get rid of it. Plus we just had a Mercury retrograde too, which was playing with my computer. I would have got my predictions out earlier, a couple of weeks ago, but I've had problems with the computer, and you can thank Mercury, retrograde. Yes, Michelle's exactly right. Ready to move forward. I would recommend everybody write your goals down, and write them down for the year. Write them down every 30 days. I'm going to be doing a workshop, couple classes. I'll be working on getting those ready for this upcoming year. So if you want to partake in that, that's up to you. I'm going to also start doing YouTube lives every Thursday. A quick question: how many people would prefer an 8 o'clock time, which is what I prefer, or how many people would prefer a 9 o'clock live YouTube, which would be this, on Thursdays? So if you prefer a 9, write a 9, no pun intended. If you prefer an 8, write an 8 in, and I'll reconsider going from an 8 to a 9. So yeah, totally. Maria, yep, 8. That's good to know. Annie, 8. Yeah, I say 8 because by the time 9 o'clock, everybody's pretty shot from working all day. And, you want to sit in your jammies, especially when it's cold out, watch a little TV, and when it's warm out, it's different, So, oh, good. I'm glad, because 8 is perfect. 8 is great. So is everybody ready for holidays? I'm assuming you all are. Is that a yes? Sure it is. By the way, can anybody see any dead people behind me? There's a man behind me. Can you see him? If anybody can see him. Okay, you could say yes. It's kind of funny. I can see his outline, but sometimes you pick him up in the weirdest places. But anyways, I'm glad that everybody is ready to get rid of the sludge. A lot of cool changes though, too. So I always tell people, even though there's going to be some bumps and, don't get caught up in it, because most people don't like changes, but sometimes changes are the things that we need. So really analyze this year. What do you want? What do you want to invest your time in? Because that's all we have. We don't have that much time. Every day we live, we get closer to the end. So you want to invest your time wisely. You don't want to play games with people that are just, as I say, you don't play games with little girls with short pants or little boys in short pants. You want to be in the world. You want to be around people that can lift your spirits. You want to be around people that have a genuine interest in you. So that's what I like 9 myself, but I do best to have coffee with you. And hey, that is so funny. You know what this is? This is a medicine ball by Starbucks. If you haven't had one, I highly recommend. I drink these a lot. They're so good. I drink my coffee in the morning. If I drink it too late, I'll never get to sleep. I had 2 hours of sleep last night. Just couldn't sleep. So that's funny, Jen. So please try the medicine ball. So delicious. It's lemon, mint tea, and honey. And actually, I talk all day, so I tend to lose my voice. It helps it a lot. From that end of it. But how many people have written down their goals for January, just out of curiosity? If you want to say, yes, you have. Okay, that's good. You're working on it, then that's what it means. And that's a good sign. So you might want to do 30 days. There's a Tesla method, which what I've done is anybody that books an appointment, I'm going to be sending out a free gift. And it's worth like $60, which it's for a 30-day run. So it helps to get you like going, especially with January. So that sounds delicious. It is so good. Jen, you're so funny. Not yet, Annie says. The kefir, but that's so, I'm reading some of these comments, really funny. So probably next week when I do 8 o'clock, just so you know, I'm going to be opening up for chatting. So I'm a slacker. That's so funny. So we'll get into like our regular questions. So it'll be a lot of fun. If anybody, I think some people here have been on the Instagrams, which I do Wednesdays at 8, and now I'm going to be doing Thursdays live YouTubes, which it'll be a similar principle, taking some questions, giving some messages. But we actually have a few more minutes. So if anybody wants to ask anything, something psychic, feel free to, ask the question. But I procrastinate, which is my goal to stop procrastinating. Leslie, I understand that feeling. Sometimes I think you get overwhelmed and there's just so much, or you feel like you do like 5 minutes of this and 5 minutes of that. So, one thing I will say, Leslie, with the 9 energy, though, it's going to force you to make changes. So you'll feel that urge to like just do it. Like they say, like Nike, just do it. So that'll be good for your procrastination. I was reading something the other day about ADHD or something, and I was laughing because they're like, you know, um, would you stick to this? And I'm like, well, if somebody's like ADHD, they probably won't stick to it. So you can't ask them if they're going to stick to whatever it was. It was like some advertisement or something. I thought it was kind of funny, but I think sometimes we get way too caught up in our head and we overanalyze things when we should just do it. What's where you have to say, where can we find the meanings of the numbers from 1 through 9? I'm going to be updating my website in the near future, but you can check anywhere on the internet. If you just Google numerology, you'll get their definitions. I know on my some of my reels on Instagram have the numbers and the meanings too, so you could check that as well. So, um, but everything has a vibrational quality. So you'll find that when you look at the numbers, it'll make sense. And numbers also relate to various things like angels. There's like we're all connected, so you know, that's what that's all about. So but anyway, so you think 8 o'clock, everybody, because that's what I'm going to start doing next week. And then I'm going to also be putting out videos on YouTube, some learning videos, some fun videos too. So, if you want to like check in and take a look at that as well. I have a lot of things coming up this upcoming year. Oh, and if there's something you ever want me to, a topic or a subject you want me to talk about or address or whatever, shoot me an email. You can do it at Karen@KarenReese.com, but make sure you spell my name, KaRynReece, because nobody ever spells it right. Otherwise it might go to somebody else. But yes, I did. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, I did have it on Instagram. Thanks to my wonderful marketing person. She loads it all up for me. So, thank you, Annie. Tell Mark I said hello. So, but anyways, I guess on that note, we should probably close out. So next week, be here, 8 o'clock, be here or be square. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And, oh, wait, it's Thursday? No, Wednesday's Christmas. So we're good on Thursday. I had to stop and think because I can't do Wednesday Instagram. One other thing, when you're a psychic, you lose track of time. I mean, today I did like a bunch of readings, so I had one foot in that world and I had one foot in this world. Sometimes it gets really crazy. And for me, sometimes when I'm looking at the worlds, I'm actually seeing like two worlds, like almost like a horizon connecting the earth. It's a little hard to explain, but it's like one world on top of the other. It's the weirdest thing. Maybe one of these days I'll draw or paint it. I always say I'm going to do it. I just don't have the time. Oh my God. Thank you all. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. I'll catch y'all next week. So next week, if you want to jump into, if you want to maybe share one or two of your goals, we could all share. And because what they say, when you share, you care. So, if you want to share something for next year, and, maybe one of your goals might be to open up your intuition a little bit more. So I'll give you a couple little tips on that, which I'll start doing on YouTube. But anyways, thank you so much, everybody. God bless you. Hopefully gives you a little bit more mind of rest. And like I said, there's going to be great buys in the stock market. I'm a former stockbroker, in case anybody doesn't know that. Did that years ago. So look for the dips. Talk to your broker, because everybody has their own, financial situation. I'm very big into, like gas and oil. I love crypto. I love the AI. So just my personal preference. I mean, I love a lot of things too. But anyways, on that note, thank you so much. I'll catch you next week. And Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. And hopefully I can get this thing to save. You know how great I am with technology these days. But anyways, thank you so much. Au revoir, mes amis. I'm going to try to turn this off somehow. Maybe not. Okay. Well, we'll figure this out. Maybe not. Okay. Well, there we go. End stream. Anyways, thank you.